So it's another cool day today. It rained it rained not very long, maybe an hour. Cooled right off. I guess it's going to be back up in the 90s tomorrow. Or no, hundreds. I guess we're getting up into hundreds. Well, regardless, it's going to heat back up. So Carolyn keeps an eye on a Facebook group that kind of covers this area. Somebody posted, they live about 5 miles away from us, that they saw a bear. Now, when I was growing up, bears were not in Missouri. They've been reintroduced somehow or another. I don't know if they came in here on their own or if they came in, you know, with help from humans. I don't know. But they've been increasing since the early 2000s probably. I think now there's actually a bear hunting season that they're so popular. So anyway, about 5 miles away, a guy said he saw one in his backyard. And it's the one thing I'm absolutely confident that I can't keep out of our chicken coop. So I got to rely on security. Got my little squealer that can go off if the animals come around. And we're just going to have to pay attention that if he comes around, you know, I got to be ready to jump out of bed or wherever and yell at him to get him out of there. Black bears are not big fans of humans. They tend to run away. It's not like they're going to stand their ground against you. Especially, I think here in Missouri, they're not going to be looking for food from humans. I know some areas they are, but if I just got to keep them away from the chickens. That being said, somebody asked me, how do we keep our chickens safe from predators? Well, I mean, I think I've covered this quite a bit, but the way we keep them safe is we lock them up at night. They go inside their chicken coop, the metal thing here, and I close the door, and there's a door right here, and I close it every night. They go in on their own. I don't have to put them away. They probably go in about 8 o'clock at night right now. I close them up, and then in the morning, about 5 o'clock, I come back down, open it back up. During the day, they're pretty safe in the chicken run. There's not a lot of predators come around. I mean, we've had a bobcat come around and a fox. But again, we're awake, and so we are pretty active at listening to if they're screaming. And they do. They make a lot of noise if there's a predator comes around, a dog. All we really have to do is look out the window from our house there, and we can see what's going on. The fox did get a little baby bird, baby chicken, but that's because the chicken jumped out. That's before we had this secured as well as we do now. But he was able to get out and jumped right in the fox's mouth is what I'm guessing. So the fox was pretty smart, pretty patient. He just sat there and waited for them to come out. The bobcat, on the other hand, was thinking how he was going to get out. Now we have another chicken coop because it got too crowded in here to put the Brahmas. So we use this IBC tank here. And again, I close this up at night so nothing can get in. That's only if the predator could get through the chicken run. That's the key. They got to get through 2 spots before they could get into the chicken. So they got to get into the chicken run, and then they got to break into the door. I don't think normal predators are going to be able to get through the outside here. The spot where the chickens lay eggs, that opens up also. But you can see I got latches here, so I can close that up too. I don't think anything's going to get through. We got the hardware cloth here in the summertime for ventilation, and then over here we have a window. I've lost my other hardware cloth, otherwise I'd put it over here also. I got to get some more, but so I've just left the window on right now. But again, a bear could get through that pretty easy, so got to keep an eye out for the bears. The nice thing I think I got is I may not lose all my chickens if the bear gets into one or the other. Since I have chickens separated in 2 different areas, I'm hoping that will mean that I would have time to stop him at the one. I've been talking a lot about the comparisons, which there are none, between preppers and living off grid, and how I feel living off grid, you are more prepared than a prepper. Now, for some reason, people are not grasping the idea that I also have 300 days worth of canned food that we canned. Not for prepping purposes, but that's just the way we live. Everybody keeps talking about stockpiling and how important it is to have the stockpile, and that's where my failure is. I don't have the failure. I got exactly what you guys are telling me. The difference is we use the food and then we replenish it. So let's assume we eat 3 months worth of food out of the 300 days. Then we butcher these chickens, we refill the chicken meat that we've eaten, that still gives us 300 days. It's constantly in cycle. I feel like if, when we lost all our chickens and we had to rely on the food, that we would have 300 days, and then by that time we'd have more chickens producing eggs, producing more chickens that we could butcher. I said in a video a while back that I feel like the reason people don't want to live off grid and they want to prep instead and say that prepping is better is because this is a lot of work. A lot more work than prepping. Prepping, you just stockpile your food and go back and watch the football game. But here I got to get up, come over here, open up the chicken coop, shut the chicken coop, give them a little bit of food, and go back up to the house and, oh, wait a minute. No, there's not a lot of work here. I think the imagination is that you have to work from sun up to sundown to take care of chickens. You don't. The big difference is mine doesn't cost anything. I don't have to work a lot of hours trying to make money so I can stockpile. That's kind of the point of having the chickens. So I don't have to stockpile and make lots of money. It's just a whole different line of thinking. The other day I made a video where I was talking about Tattler lids to can my food versus regular lids. And the watch time was really bad on it. And I know why it was bad. I can always predict when it's going to be bad. It's bad because the people who watch my videos are not interested in canning. That's not a manly thing to do. I mean, I've even been called a girl when I've canned food. Wussy, except without a W, and they replaced it with a P. But I don't care if you think I'm a wussy for canning food. It's the best method that you can use to preserve food in my mind. People say, no, you need a smoker. That's a man's job, the smoker. Well, I've watched prepping videos. There's this one prepper. Oh, I got firewood falling down here. He built a smoker. I would imagine he spent a couple $1,000s on it. He used it once for, I think, a dinner. But he's never used it to preserve food in any one of his videos that I've watched. I see this a lot with prepping channels. They do something and it doesn't work, and then they never admit that it didn't work. I tried curing meat, pork, because I thought you could actually preserve pork with the cure process. Turns out it's a lot more complicated than what I thought it was, but that's okay. So I cured it, and it only lasted for about 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I mean, it didn't last very long. It lasted longer than it would have without the cure, but it still went bad. So I came back and said, oh, that didn't work. Curing is not a long-term solution to preserving food, but canning is. Even the FDA or whoever, one of those government agencies, say that the canning process can last up to a year. Dehydrating meat is probably the second best method of curing, except we don't have a lot of electric, so we'd have to do it in the sun. We could dehydrate it and preserve the meat, and then you have to vacuum seal it. So it'd be like beef jerky is what it would be like. Beef jerky actually lasts a pretty long time. You have to realize that there are going to be things that you have to do if you're going to survive the SHTF that everybody keeps talking about that you don't like. The problem is you'll have to learn how to do it. Here's what I think about canning. Watching canning videos, I don't like watching them either. I think they're boring. But you have to learn how to do it, so I watch them. See if there's anything I didn't know. And there's a couple things I've learned, especially with Tattler lids. But you gotta do it. Otherwise you're not gonna survive. So being a prepper, that makes no sense if you're not gonna actually do what you need to do. I was asked the other day about bugging out. Well, I don't even know if I was asked. I was told that I was being silly. Of course, the language is not that polite. I got a chicken, look at that. She bypassed my little trap. I got chicken wire just below her neck. So she figured out how to get on top of the house and get through the regular fence. I got 3 layers of fencing there. I mean, that's incredible. She got through 3 layers by getting high enough to eat those weeds. That's where I would have problems with wildlife, predators getting hold of the chickens. But I was asked, why don't I have a bug out process? Gotta bug out. There's gonna be a time you're gonna just have to leave. Well, no, I see nothing that's going to make me leave this property. It would be crazy to. It goes kind of with the idea that I'm going to have to be ready for the city slickers to come down here and get my food. I've told you about this. People tell me, no, the city slickers are going to come down, they're going to take your chickens. So why am I bugging out if I'm only going someplace that already doesn't have food? I've got food here. Now, this is an SHTF situation. Obviously, if a tornado hit the property, I'm going to have to leave, get a hotel room, rebuild the house. I watched a show years ago. Family lived in the burbs. The father kind of got depressed, wasn't doing much. The wife was having to empty the toilet and burying it because he didn't want to do anything. Finally, he started noticing that crime was happening outside the house quite badly. So they spread a bunch of stuff out in the front yard, making it look like they'd already been ransacked. Finally, he thought, well, this is getting too dangerous. So they left to go to the country. But they had no survival skills. The only way they really survived was their 12-year-old son turned out to be a bigger criminal than they had realized. And he had skills of being able to hotwire a car and breaking into houses. I think leaving this place would be suicide. I think protecting it with everything I got to my last breath would be the smartest thing to do, because I got everything I need here. I got the water, I got food, got stockpile of food. So the only thing I got to do is protect it. Whereas if I leave, I don't have anything except what's on my back. That being said, I've always said I'm not a prepper. I live off grid, and I think I could actually survive better than preppers can. If you could click that super thanks button down there, I'd really appreciate it. So if I can inspire you to get ready so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.